Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Velocity Kinetics. You'll find me puzzled at the moment, and to be brutally honest, I have no idea where to begin. So, as is well documented on this channel, I've got a blue Honda Civic. 1 litre power boost, 3-cylinder turbo, with a CVT gearbox, EX trim, in blue. It's done a lot of the Swacecast videos recently. It's a rather lovely car. Or rather it was. And well, let me insert 2 videos here that I've recorded during the week, and I think you'll begin to see just the manner of foobar that's happened. So, just whilst I'm thinking about this, and I don't know which video I'm going to insert this in, if it's going to go in anywhere, the Honda has thrown a number of error codes. It's thrown an engine warning light. It has thrown adaptive cruise control failure light. It has thrown collision avoidance warning system light. And about another 3-4 lights in relation to it. Appreciate Workshop has limited availability, but I've got a car I can't currently drive, or shouldn't really drive. The engine warning light is not flashing, so we're not in limp mode or anything. We're still making boost. It doesn't smell rich. Or anything like that, but you'd have thought Honda would have been a hell of a lot more wanting to get to the bottom of the problem than what they are. So we'll see what happens with it. And as it is, I'm currently waiting a call back on what used to be Sesson Lata Volvo in Bury St Edmunds. I think it's now called Howden's Volvo. It's about whether they've got a V40 in, because this Honda is not the first time that it's thrown an engine warning light, and it's pissing me off. Just to add insult to injury, and I don't know whether I'm going to use this piece of video at all, so if you see it in a video that I'm putting out, well done, congratulations, or it was a massive what the fuck. The Civic is currently having a fault diagnosed with it, as mentioned in a previous short clip, because the engine warning light is on. Taken it to my Honda dealer today to get it looked at. I was hoping it was just a case of I've gone over a deep pothole and knocked something loose, or miscalculated the depth of a puddle and some water got somewhere it shouldn't. They just needed an OBD2 code check and clear. No. It's never that bloody simple. The fault code it currently has, which John Banks are currently trying to establish which way they need to go to get this fixed, either means an entirely new turbocharger is required for the car, or a new engine is required for the car. So in essence, the car has either got an expensive but not end of the world problem to deal with, or it's effectively a write-off. And as it sits, I don't even know whether the car's currently going to be drivable, if they can even fix it. I'm going to need to take a loaner vehicle from them for God knows how long. I am so annoyed by it. I am so annoyed by it. I bought the Honda because it was meant to be rock solid. Yes, I didn't know about the wet belt issue in 3-cylinder turbos. It's something I've only become aware of in the duration after buying the car, and it's not just a Honda thing as in across the market. I didn't even know. I thought the Ford issue was bore score, not what they call EcoBoom.
I mean, technically it is some form of bore score happening before it goes boom, but still. I bought the Honda thinking it would be reliable. I bought a low mileage one thinking I can keep that for ages. Unless finances get too tight and I have to sell it. But assuming finance stays on my money stays on my side, that I could keep it and run it, no problem. And in the space of a morning, it's now a case of that car might be completely toast. Now, I have looked around for a couple of replacement vehicles, if I can trade it in and get the sort of value back for it. And there is currently, on the day of recording, 23rd of January, there is a Volvo V40 at John Banks in Colchester. Because I'm working on the basis of trying to replace it without putting any money in myself, because I just haven't got any money to put in. And it's a very high spec V40, power memory seat, electric passenger seat, reversing camera, heated seats, leather interior. It's a 2-litre T2 engine. My only concern is, what I don't understand is I ran an insurance quote on it yesterday because I thought it's a 2-litre, that's going to be expensive. No, it's less than the bloody Honda to insure. And it's a year older, with more miles on it. So I'd be going backwards in terms of... I'll be going forwards in terms of spec and what I've got on it. And it's all buttons, which I suppose is a small plus point, rather than any touchscreen element. But I've got to go backwards to potentially get something else, and I'm going back to a manual, which isn't a problem for me, just sort of I've just got to engage manual brain when I need to drive it. How has it come to this? How? So in summary, I turned it on to go do blood donors on Monday just gone, so the day I'm recording is the 25th of January. So on the Monday I went to go give blood, turned the car on, it threw all sorts of electrical warnings at me, and then the engine warning light came on and stayed on. It was similar to the issue that happened at the start of a previous Swace cast. The only difference is that one where I've sped it up and then I was taking it on an extended drive to see what the hell the problem was. It still made boost, it just idled. Roughly you thought it was down to 2 cylinders or something like that. Now this time it wasn't idling roughly, it felt fine. I was inadvertently having to play fuel like bingo, so I did begin to think, hang on, is this getting sludge in from the bottom of the fuel tank? So I went and put some fresh petrol in, maybe that would clear the code, because I'd never had less. The lowest I'd ever run it was about 60 miles projected range left, and I was down in the 40s, even into the 30s. Half a tank of fuel didn't fix it. And I thought, if I just run it a tiny bit, maybe that'll fix it. Didn't fix it. I thought maybe it's just having a hissy fit. I'll turn it on again the next day. Maybe the fault will have cleared. Fault didn't clear. So on Friday the 23rd of January, it went in to be diagnosed as to what the hell the problem was. I took it in for 8:30. Sarah met me there and picked me up and took me back because I didn't have a courtesy car. I did wonder whether it was going to be a very serious problem, because I couldn't find on any forum that I could find, I couldn't find anything that was diagnosed or people who had similar problems to what I've just had. Nothing. So when it was first on the ramp, apparently, I got a phone call at 9:30 to tell me they don't know what's wrong with it, they need a few more hours, which then took my diagnostic costs up from 156 to 480 something, because I needed to do more diagnostics on it. It's like, fine, whatever. I'm not happy about it, but at the end of the day, if it's a serious problem, and it's not something that's a simple fault code clear, then it's terminal. Well, maybe not terminal, but maybe there's a bigger electrical gremlin at work. I began to think, am I just going to need a new engine management unit, a new electronics control module, something along those lines. And John Banks said they'd call me back in a few hours. I called them back at 2 o'clock, and they said they would have a look. They are still looking at it. Considering they phoned me at 9:30, that's quite a few hours. I couldn't get back through. I still had work meetings throughout my day, and I obviously couldn't keep dropping out of meetings to be on the phone. I did warn my manager and my couple of my colleagues that I work with, like, look, if I suddenly go AFK, it's because they're on the phone to me. I did tell the team that cars in the garage, quite a severe problem, don't know what it is. Dropped out of work early at 5:15. The joys of working from home, but I'll more than make, well, mind you, I've more than made that time up elsewhere, because I start at 8:30, even though my job rolls 9 to 5. So I've got plenty of time in the pocket, but that's a separate matter. So then, 5:15, I couldn't get through. So I said, Sarah, can you take me up there so I can either get to the bottom of what's going on, or and at the very least, if it's really that bad, so I can insist on a loaner vehicle for the weekend. Because even though I don't do an awful lot of mileage as such, she's only done about 8,000-ish, I've done about 8,000 in my Honda. Going back down to one car is not convenient, and while Sarah says, oh, you can just work out the bus schedule, you can just take the bus. I can't just take the bus if I've got to drop out of my work day for an appointment. Plus, it's just nice to be able to do my own thing on the weekend. Even if I don't go anywhere, at least I've got the option to go, oh, I'm going to go over to Thetford to see my parents. Oh, I've heard there's something nice going on over here, I'm going to go take some pictures of it. Or I'm just going to film a Swacecast video. Maybe most of those 8,000 miles I did in that Honda this last year were Swacecasts. I know 500 of it was a Newcastle trip. So I got to the dealership just as I was pulling up to the dealership, they phoned me and say, yeah, Mr. White, it's not looking good. And then I was like, well, I'm just round the corner, we'll sort it out alone and you can tell me what's going on. They don't know what the problem is. I've been told potentially it needs a new engine or a new turbocharger. The fault code indicates the turbo's not making boost, but it went fine for me when I was going up there. So, not quite sure what's going on there. Now, apparently, all the problems that I've experienced and the things they noticed in the garage, so they noticed it was idling a bit roughly, it sounded a little tappy, and then the engine code and things like that would indicate that the wet belt is going or gone. I didn't know if the wet belt had been done. Frankly, I didn't know the Honda had a wet belt on it, if I'm brutally honest. I was vaguely aware of the problem with the Fords, but I thought that was bore score, not a wet belt problem. I also thought that the Honda Power Boost was Honda's own design through and through. They'd just seen what success Ford were having and had gone, we're going to have a bit of that. A bit like what Volvo did with their 1.5 three-cylinder turbos. And the same with Suzuki's Booster Jet. I thought that Suzuki's is apparently, at least according to Gemini, I haven't done an awful lot more digging beyond a quick Google Gemini, and it's come back saying that the Booster Jet does not have any shared architecture with the EcoBoost, so my sister's Swift should be alright. But I thought the Honda would be fine, and it's not. It's got the same problems as the Ford, because it's based on the Ford. The belt has been done, because I did ask, well, has it had its wet belt done? Is it at that point in age or mileage where it should be done? And apparently it has been. And when they've looked at the belt, with all the fault codes and things, I would expect it to be missing that belt, or for there to be pieces everywhere. And there isn't. So naturally we're all at a loss as to what's going on. They've got a couple more tests they're going to do on it on Monday morning, but I'm now at a crossroads. That Honda is a lovely car. Sarah doesn't like driving it. She told me she did, but she doesn't. So I've got one car that I mean, I don't like being a passenger very much, but she's always going to pick the Swace, which, I mean, it's her choice, but it's more a case of she's never going to pick the Honda to drive. Not unless her arm is forced, and even then she'd rather get the bus. But with all the engine diagnostics that I'm going to be in for about 600 odd quid just on the diagnostics. And then I've been in £400 for tyres. It had another diagnostic it's had at least 2 other diagnostics in its time. So that's about another 300 odd pounds I'm in. on that. It's had a new windscreen, it had a windscreen repair. Granted, they were covered under my insurance, but it's more things I've had to put in a year and 2 months, 14-ish months, 15-ish months. That's a lot of money I've put in. I've seen something at John Banks I wouldn't mind having, but there are pros and cons to it. This would be trading the car in such a manner that I put zero money in from my end, and actually they would be writing me a cheque for about £800, which has its merits. The car in question, though, is not in Bury St Edmunds, it's in Colchester. They're going to try and bring it over to Bury St Edmunds for me to have a look at. It's a Volvo. It's got a lot of toys on it, so there's a lot of electronics to potentially go wrong as the car ages. But Volvos are usually made pretty well. It's a smaller body, so it's more like what I need. But it's a 2-litre engine, which means it's going to be a bit more thirsty maybe than the Honda. But I know it will cope with a trip up to Newcastle and even beyond, because it's that comfortable of a vehicle. It's going back to a manual, which I'm not too fussed about. I just need to know what gearbox a car's got before I jump between them. The thing is that its reversing camera is currently broken, and the John Banks group are not sure if they're going to just write the car off and push it off to an auction, or if they are going to fix it and offer the car to me. I've provisionally agreed to buy this other car on the basis or on the standing that Sarah doesn't mind driving it. And a conversation I had with Sarah last night is also a case of, do we just sell the Honda, go back down to one car for a bit and just chip away at finances and not have to worry about a second car's running costs and improve our financial position, which has its own merits as well. And that's never a thing to be snubbed at. But we've had just over a year with 2 cars, and it's been massively convenient. Plus point, if something happens with her family in Newcastle, she can just get in the car and go, assuming she's got the leave to do it. But she can just get up and go. If something happens to my parents in Thetford, I can just get in a car and go. I haven't got a car, I'm a bit stuck. Or work out a bus timetable from where I live into town, and from town onto Thetford. It also means that I can't help my brother out as ad hoc as I do from time to time. As in, I used to cut his lawn for him before he bought a lawnmower, but I don't mind doing the odd bits of gardening for him and the odd bit of DIY for him. That's something that has to basically now start being planned in. But two cleared credit cards, which have got significant balances on, I'm talking somewhere around between the two of them the £9,000 mark, is nothing to be snubbed at. Plus that frees up about £160 at the minimum out of my monthly budget. Plus I haven't got to pay petrol anymore, which is about £40-50 a month. So that's about £210 a month I get back just for selling the car. But then I've got the big loan that I used for the car, when it's like, well, why did I do a loan that big? I could have just done something smaller. It's a bit like I basically want to have something to show for the financial commitment I'm currently in. But the biggest problem is John Banks have offered me £10,200 for that Honda, which is reasonable, especially as they've got to protect some money in their pocket. And when I bought it for about £13,000, it's down about £2,800, and it's gone from being a very low mileage example to the low end of average example. So, it's not as much of a cherry as it once was. Plus, I gather I'm having to take the salesman at his word that the Civic saloons either sell stupidly quick or they can't get rid of them. And I can believe that, because until I bought that Civic saloon, I hadn't actually seen another Civic saloon of that generation on the road, at least none that had crossed my recognition path. There we are. But the other problem I've got is We Buy Any Car have offered me even more for it. They've offered me 12.5, which means if I go down the route of, no, I'm just going to try and resolve I won't say resolve my liquidity problem, because I'm not in that sort of situation, but more money in the bank and more money in my pocket and more commitments tidied up is more commitments tidied up. The problem is, they don't know if the engine light goes out and they can fix it. I might get 200 yards down the road, belt snaps, con rods and things everywhere, and then I've got a giant paperweight. they can't give me that reassurance, which I understand, because it's that they've followed every single Honda diagnostic direction, and they don't know what to do. One of the guys, I met him when I was coming into the dealership on Friday evening. He started on that car in the morning at about 20 to 9, quarter to 9, and he didn't finish on it until he was leaving for the day. This might be the end of my Civic, might be the end of my Honda journey, might be the start of a Volvo journey. What I've seen is a V40 T2. It's got all sorts of things on, like the power memory seat, it's got reversing camera, sat nav, it's got power passenger seat, it's a 6-speed manual, it's a 2 litre, it's silver paint, it's got a panoramic roof, leather interior, heated seats. It's about as high spec as you can get, but it's a year older than the car I've got, or knocking on for a year older, and it's about another 15,000 miles on the clock. So I'm into more tyres and things, and it hasn't had the cleanest of MOT histories. Granted, most of it were around wheels and tyres, and the number plate, actually, at one point. But there are the only other plus point as well is or plus point and simultaneous down point is if I sell the Civic, even if I buy the Volvo, I'll get most of the tax back I paid for this year, which is about £140–160 I'll get back. Fantastic. But if I buy the Volvo, I've got to pay out £195 to tax the damn thing. So I'm not actually up anywhere. I'm more down than anything. So no wonder I've been having stress-induced nosebleeds all week. What this means, I don't know. What does the future hold? I don't know. Do I want to go down to one car? No, I don't. My only other option at John Banks, which would put more money back in my pocket, but it means getting something even older, is they have a 15-plate Vitara for £6,000, but it's not even an all-grip Vitara, and it's got 85,000 miles on the clock. Which, if it's been looked after alright, then that's not a problem. Problem is, I don't know if it's been looked after alright. Same with that Volvo, same with that Honda, the one that's caused all the problems. And it does mean if we go down to one car, content's going to go on a hiatus, because I won't have the car to record things with, because understandably on a Sunday, I haven't really got that many places I need to go, so Sarah would probably be driving herself to work. But then you've got to keep shunting the seat back and forth, and it's not like we're talking like my parents before my dad had his back injury. My dad was slightly tall, was taller than me, ma'am, but not massively. They didn't need to adjust their seating positions too much. But I'm nearly 5'10", and Sarah's about 5'2", so there is quite a significant adjustment in the seating position. So it's not an easy thing to bounce between. Which is also sort of one of the plus points of getting that Volvo, would mean it's power memory, and we don't need to fart on with hacking it back and forth. Plus, I've also then got to put the plate back up, my private plate back on retainer. Even if I then reassign it to the Swace, or just sit on it, I've still got to spend £80 to put it back on retainer. So, yeah, and the rate car prices are going up. I can't afford anything new. Brand new is in to ease the first registration costs. Weather today sort of reflects kind of what's going on. I've got jazz for a couple of days whilst they sort this out. It's a bit of an apology of a vehicle compared to how nice my Civic is, but I'm at such a fucking loss as to what to do. But also, if the other trade-off is if they get to the bottom of the problem at a Honda, and they say we think we fixed it, there is always that think we fixed it, and the car has thrown, including this one, that's 2 engine warning lights. It's thrown at me in my ownership. Now, it doesn't mean it'll do it a third time, but maybe the third time is the time it disintegrates on the A1 heading up to Newcastle. if they get the light to go out and they say it's okay to leave, which currently it's not okay in their opinion to leave the dealership, I'm welcome to take it back, but they wash their hands of anything that happens after that. Do I then just keep owning a car that might throw another hissy fit? What a start to 2026. Trump threatening to invade Greenland, and all sorts of other general injustices happening in the world, and then on a personal level, my car decides to shit itself and potentially end of. There are far worse things that could happen, and I could be very ill, I could be dead. So, I'm thankful that I have my health and my life. And I could also be single, so I'm very thankful for Sarah. But beyond those general things, it's not been a good start, has it? Well, suppose I'll go and find something to do and try and mull this over a bit more. Drive safe, look after yourselves.